He leaned forward as if to kiss him, then locked his jaws around the young man's throat and squeezed. The room near Hanover's Central Railway Station was small, the air thick with sweat and stale smoke. Outside, trains clattered in and out, drowning the brief struggle inside. Haarmann held on with animal force, teeth sunk deep into flesh, arms wrapped tight around his victim's torso. The boy's hands clawed at him, then weakened. Within minutes, the body went limp. Fritz Haarmann lowered it carefully to the floor, breathing hard but composed, already thinking about what came next. Friedrich Heinrich Karl Haarmann was born in 1879 in Hanover, Germany. His childhood was marked by tension and instability. His father considered him weak and often belittled him. As a young man, Haarmann displayed troubling behavior and was briefly confined to a psychiatric facility, though doctors ultimately declared him fit for release. He later served in the military, but failed to build any stable path in life. By the time the First World War ended, Germany was devastated, economically broken, politically volatile, and flooded with displaced people. Hanover's train station became a crossroads for desperation. Runaway boys, unemployed youths, and drifters poured through the platforms, searching for work, food, or a way out. Haarmann positioned himself right in the middle of that vulnerability. He rented a small room close to the station and cultivated a reputation as someone connected to the police. In fact, he served as a police informant, feeding officers information about black market activity and petty crime. That relationship gave him a shield. He moved freely. Officers recognized him. Some even trusted him. Young men noticed that too. Haarmann offered food, a bed, or the promise of employment. He approached boys who looked lost, frightened, or hungry. Witnesses later testified that he appeared friendly, even helpful. He would lead them back to his room under the pretense of assistance. Once inside, the door closed. According to his later confessions, he made sexual advances. If the boys resisted, he attacked. His preferred method was strangulation by biting. He clamped his teeth into the throat, compressing the windpipe and major blood vessels until the victim suffocated. Forensic examinations of recovered remains later confirmed deep bite marks consistent with his admissions. The brutality was intimate and prolonged. After the killing, Haarmann dismembered the bodies. He used knives to cut them into sections small enough to conceal and transport. Bones and flesh were discarded in the Leine River or hidden in surrounding areas. Over time, children playing near the river began finding bones. At first, authorities assumed they were animal remains. As more were discovered, suspicions grew darker. During these same years, young men were reported missing at an alarming rate. Families searched frantically. Some had last been seen near the station, sometimes in the company of Haarmann. Rumors spread through Hanover. Neighbors complained of strange noises from his room. Some claimed to have heard cries. Others reported seeing him carry heavy sacks at odd hours. Police questioned him repeatedly. They even searched his quarters on earlier occasions, but failed to find enough evidence to detain him. His status as an informant worked in his favor. He explained away accusations with calm confidence. Meanwhile, he profited from the dead. He sold clothing and personal belongings taken from victims. During his trial, he admitted selling meat on the black market, claiming it was pork or horse. The public recoiled at the possibility that human flesh might have entered the food supply, though definitive proof of cannibalism was never established. Still, the horror of that suspicion earned him the nickname that would follow him forever, the Vampire of Hanover. The turning point came in 1924. Large numbers of human bones surfaced along the Leine River. This time, the remains could not be dismissed. Forensic analysis confirmed they were human. The pattern of disappearances aligned too closely with Haarmann's movements to ignore. Police searched his room again. They found bloodstains embedded in the floorboards and clothing linked to missing youths. Witnesses came forward with stronger, more detailed statements. The web tightened. Haarmann was arrested in June 1924. During interrogation, he eventually confessed. He described the killings with disturbing detachment, recounting how he lured victims, how he bit into their throats, how he dismembered them afterward. Investigators were able to conclusively link him to at least 24 murders. Haarmann himself suggested the number was higher, though exact totals remain uncertain because many victims were never fully identified. The trial began later that year and captivated Germany. Courtrooms filled with reporters, grieving relatives, and citizens desperate to understand how such crimes could unfold in plain sight. Medical experts described the bite wounds. Evidence was presented connecting personal effects recovered in Haarmann's possession to missing boys. The prosecution laid out a systematic pattern of predation targeting vulnerable youths in a city overwhelmed by post-war instability. Questions also turned toward law enforcement. How had a known suspect, previously questioned, continued operating? How had an informant gained so much trust without scrutiny? Public confidence in the police suffered as details emerged. Haarmann displayed little emotion during proceedings. He spoke clearly, sometimes correcting details as though discussing mundane transactions rather than murder. Attempts to portray him as legally insane did not succeed. The evidence was overwhelming and the brutality undeniable. In December 1924, the court convicted Fritz Haarmann of 24 murders and sentenced him to death. On April 15, 1925, he was executed by guillotine in Hanover. Contemporary reports described him as composed in his final moments, showing no outward sign of remorse. When the case closed, Hanover was left to reckon with years of missed warnings. The bones recovered from the river were catalogued and, when possible, identified and returned to families. Many parents never received certainty. The image that remained was not only of a man who killed with his teeth, but of a fractured society that allowed a predator to operate in the shadows of its busiest station. Fritz Haarmann's crimes became one of the most infamous serial murder cases in German history, a grim reminder of how trust, authority, and desperation can converge with catastrophic consequences. Thank you for listening to Homicide Files. Subscribe for more true crime stories.